On May 11, 2015, the passenger vessel Hamburg struck a charted rock formation off the coast of Scotland. The impact tore along the hull, disabling the port propeller and rudder, and threatening the lives of the 461 passengers and crew on board. This was a modern, fully equipped cruise ship. It utilized an electronic chart display and information system and was commanded by a master who held proper bridge resource management certification. With the mechanical systems functioning perfectly and the weather well within limits, the grounding was the direct result of a breakdown in bridge team management. The officers on the bridge retreated into their own isolated workflows. That isolation destroyed their situational awareness and drove them directly into a known hazard. When bridge team management fails, the hardware on the ship ceases to matter. Even fully certified crews become blind to obvious, preventable dangers. This map shows the Hamburg's scheduled route, departing Dublin, Ireland on May 10th for a maiden call at Tobermory, Scotland. A gale warning had been issued for the Irish Sea, with conditions expected to deteriorate significantly by the following afternoon. To avoid the worst of the weather, the master decided to maintain maximum speed. The objective was to secure an anchorage in the sheltered waters of Tobermory A before the storm arrived, but the bay was already occupied. During the transit, the Tobermory Harbor Association informed the master that two smaller cruise ships were using the anchorage, meaning the Hamburg would have to wait outside the bay. Despite knowing they could not immediately anchor, the master did not slow the vessel down or reevaluate the approach plan. A self-imposed pressure to beat the weather, combined with an unexpected delay, locked the bridge team into a rigid operational mindset. They prioritized speed and schedule over adapting to the reality in front of them. On any commercial vessel, the first layer of procedural defense is the pre-voyage plan. This is the Hamburg's voyage plan. It lacks necessary navigational detail for a coastal approach. Key sections like the secondary position fixing column are completely blank. Without this detailed plan, the bridge team had no safe baseline track to monitor their progress against. At 800 hours the following morning, the master officially took the con. The conditions that morning were highly favorable. The vessel was riding a moderate swell with its stabilizer fins deployed, and the master was fully rested after a complete night's sleep. Fatigue and weather were not factors. The parameters for a disaster were already set. By accepting a substandard navigational plan, the bridge team removed their primary reference for safety hours before the ship ever reached the Scottish coast. Approaching the Sound of Mull, the bridge's physical layout dictated how the three key personnel, the master, the officer, and a cadet, operated. The master positioned himself exclusively at the port radar, hyper-focused and detached from the navigation picture. The officer of the watch was stationed across the bridge at the starboard radar. Meanwhile, the cadet was relegated to the rear chart table, conducting positional fixes entirely alone. Safe navigation requires a shared mental model, a collective understanding of the ship's current position and future trajectory. The physical separation of these crew officers actively prevented them from maintaining one. This operational siloing meant three individuals were working alone in the same room. They effectively neutralized every safety redundancy inherent in a multi-person watch. This is the nautical chart detailing the narrow approach into Tobermory Bay through the Sound of Mull, specifically mirroring the new rocks buoy. The vessel was navigating directly into danger, approaching the buoy from an unsafe, uncharted direction. During this critical maneuvering phase, the cadet was executing substandard chart work and plotting inaccurate position fixes. The officer of the watch failed to supervise the cadet. He did not cross-check the paper chart fixes against the electronic charts or the radar data right in front of him. On the bridge, nobody spoke. No officer questioned the heading or proximity to the shoal. Maritime protocol dictates a strict challenge and response system where junior officers are required to speak up if they observe a deviation from the plan. Its total absence deprived the master of the feedback he needed to correct his trajectory. A cultural silence on the bridge allowed a lethal navigational error to persist until it was too late to correct. At exactly 13:28 UTC, the Hamburg struck the charted rock near the New Rocks buoy. The impact sent a loud, grinding noise and heavy vibration shuddering through the ship, felt by all 461 people on board. The vessel's safety management system mandates an immediate response to an impact, governed by a grounding checklist. The bridge team ignored the first critical step: stop engines. Instead of stopping to assess the damage, they continued under power. They failed to close the watertight doors. They failed to muster the passengers. And they failed to check the internal bilges for flooding. They also failed to notify the designated person ashore, and they did not radio the local port authorities about the casualty. Neglecting mandatory procedures stripped the vessel of its safety margins, escalating the accident into a blind gamble with the lives of the passengers and crew. The master's subsequent actions compounded the danger. He attempted a poorly planned anchorage at Tobermory. The anchor dragged, narrowly avoiding a second grounding. Ultimately, the Tobermory port call was abandoned. The master took a damaged, uninspected vessel back out into the open sea, setting a course for Belfast. It was only during a dive survey in Belfast that the true extent of the structural damage was discovered. The ship had to be withdrawn from service for 3 months for repairs. It was pure luck that the hull had not been fully breached during the open sea transit. Advanced technology like electronic charts and paper certifications for bridge resource management are useless if the human operators do not actively communicate with one another. The Hamburg casualty serves as a stark reminder. Physical and cognitive isolation on the bridge neutralizes all safety systems, turning a minor navigational drift into a catastrophic procedural collapse.